Hello everyone, it's Brett here, Lionheart 84, and I'm just going to do a quick video about soil mixes and some changes I'm going to be making to the soil mixes this year, particularly for all of my citrus, and I might try on some of the tropicals as well, and the reasons I'm doing it, and some of the positives and negatives of both reasons. So, at both types of soil. Now, for the last year or so, maybe 2 years, I've been trying out what I thought would work very well for the citrus, a traditional American promoted 5-1-1 mix. Now that's, if you're interested, is 5 parts of pine bark to 1 part of perlite to 1 part of moss peat, and I've been using it for some time now on the citrus, and I have run into a few disadvantages of it. You'll have to excuse the wind chimes in the background. It's really windy today. There's not much else, not much I can do about it apart from making a video inside. So if you've been following my citrus videos, I haven't really lost any to root rot, but I've had a lot of very sickly citrus plants, certainly all of last year. I've got a lot of the plants have been suffering dieback from higher up the plant. They've been suffering from extremely yellow and discoloured leaves, various nutrient deficiencies, and one of the other things I've also found is a lot of them, since we get a windy day like today, they all blow over. So I think part of the problem is, I wouldn't say that the 5-1-1 mix is breaking down, but what I tend to find out is that because it's very free draining, it can very easily dry out without you realising it's dried out, and once it's dried out, it's very hard to wet it again. Although you can give it a good soaking, the water flows straight through and it doesn't really absorb or hold any moisture for the roots. Now the roots get very good aeration, but they definitely suffer from at times the citrus trees are suffering from lack of moisture, and probably some of the tropicals as well. And as I said, the other thing is the mix is very light, and when we get a windy day like today, all the taller trees like this one here blow over. Now this is just to give you a look at the mix here. Basically that's the mix there, and it's as I said, it's bark, perlite with a little bit of peat or cocoa coir mixed in, but I watered this yesterday and this is absolutely bone dry again on the top. It'll be wet further down, and I think the other reason, the other main problem with it, and this is a much more serious problem, is that mix doesn't hold on to nutrients at all. I think the nutrients get washed straight through, so nothing stays by the roots. Now, while that seems to work very well in California for trees in large pots, and they can literally saturate them daily without worrying about drowning the roots and causing root rot, it doesn't seem to be working very well for me in this climate. So I'm going to change the mix to another soil mix. Let me just put this tree down a minute. I'm going to have to water that in a minute. That's actually one of my healthy looking ones, but even that's got, I can show you, it's got dieback on, despite looking healthy, it's got dieback on several branches, and I think that's inconsistent moisture, lack of moisture at the roots. It's grown quite well now, and it has, that particular one hasn't got very many yellowy leaves, but a lot of my citrus have got very yellow leaves. So I'm going to try a new soil mix this year and gradually repot the citrus one at a time. And the mix I'm going to use is 1 part of John Innes number 3, or a good quality topsoil, 1 part of coarse sand, 1 part of perlite, and 1 part of moss peat or cocoa coir, depending on what I've got available. Now the downside of that mix mix is it's going to be a lot heavier, so it's much harder to carry and move the plants around, although they won't be in large pots. Whereas one thing I would say about the 511 mix, it's very easy to move the pots around without any problems. You have to excuse me if I'm squinting here behind my glasses because the sun's shining right on my face now. But I think as well as being a lot heavier mix, wow, it's really noisy. As well as being a lot heavier mix, which will obviously stop the plants falling over, it's quite a high mineral mix because John Innes has already got quite a lot of sand in it, and obviously the perlite is not organic, and the only organic in the mix will be a little bit of peat or coir, approximately 1/4, which won't rot down quickly anyway, but should help keep the mix a little bit more acidic. And what I'm hoping basically is going to happen, oh, and I will add some slow release fertiliser to the mix when I make it. What I'm hoping is going to happen is, one, the plants will be the pots will be much heavier, so they shouldn't blow over, they shouldn't be too top heavy and blow over in storms. But two, the moisture will be retained by the smaller particles a lot more consistently, but there's still no danger of the roots rotting or getting flooded because there's very little organic matter in the mix to break down and cause the anaerobic bacteria, so that'll be quite a high mineral content soil, and it still won't hold too much water. It will still drain quite readily once it's got the amount of water it can hold. The rest will just flow through. But most importantly, I'm expecting it to hold the nutrients more, so I believe that mix will get rid of most of the yellowing and starvation and nutrient deficiency showing on the leaves of my citrus. Now obviously it's going to be a bit of an experiment because I don't know what's going to happen. I don't think there's going to be much risk of root rot, but I'm hoping by the end of the summer with regular feeding that all of my citrus will return to looking healthy. So I'll probably initially try it on some of the really sickly looking ones that are really starving, and then gradually, if they seem to be responding to it and growing, putting out new growth and the leaves greening up, obviously I'll use it mixed to all of my citrus. It is a nuisance, the fact that the mix will be very heavy, but I think it's going to be more similar to the sort of soil that they grow in the native Mediterranean climate. So that's basically the mix I'm going to move to. That will be 1 part John Innes number 3, 1 part coarse sand or sharp sands, 1 part perlite, and 1 part of either moss peat or cocoa coir. And if I need to adjust the mix after the first few are done, then obviously I can adjust it from there. So if I feel it needs more sand, for example, or more perlite to keep it well drained and well aerated, I can always add more to the mix after I've tried the first 2 or 3. But obviously I thought it might interest a few people because we're all trying different soil mixes, and if it's working for the citrus, to be honest, I'm probably going to move some of the tropicals to it, because I've been using the 511 mix quite a lot for the tropicals, not the avocados. I've been using more of a John Innes mix for them already, and they seem to be mostly doing quite well at the moment. But I'm going to carry on playing around with the avocado mixes, and obviously I'll carry on playing around with the citrus mix, but at least if I stop them falling over so readily, that will at least be some improvement, even if it's hard work to move them around. So anyway, I hope that might be of some interest to people. You have to follow my videos if you want to know if it's successful with the citrus, and we'll see what happens to them. So please give me a thumbs up, share the video if you think it might prove of interest to anybody. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done already. It doesn't cost anything, and remember, you've got to click on the bell if you do want to know when new videos come out. I'm really suffering with the sun shining in my eyes, but I'll see you all in the next video. Brett out for now.